Uh-oh. Oh, no, uh-oh. We're on. Divine and royal greetings, family. I said uh-oh because when I pressed live, I got a little error message. But here we are, the Heal Thyself, well, part of the Heal Thyself tribe. Shayola Benta here, along with Latoya Davis. We
Greetings.
are, yes, indeed, coming back to you with, another topic as it relates to our health and our wealth. Today we're going to be pulling from, I have the older version. Okay then, with the greens.
Yes.
The Circles of Wellness, excuse me, by Queen Afua, which coincidentally today is Queen Afua Day.
Oh.
So, right, we say big up and shout out to Queen Mother, who has definitely been blazing the trails with this majestic work. So, we're just going to jump right into it. There is a short passage. If you have your book, feel free to grab it or just listen in. We're going to read from page 18 and 19.
Mhm.
I yield the mic.
All right. So it says, from forgiveness to freedom. The
Mhm.
root of all disease and wellness is within the heart of every man and every woman. The root of all disease and wellness is within the heart of you, husband, wife, father, mother, boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, co worker, parent, and child. Our unresolved hurt, wounded, and broken hearts cause the pain shaped as emptiness and hostility, revenge, and abuse. In our families, and our communities, the pain and reaction to pain shows up as violence. On the global scale, the pain rages as war. Individually, around the globe, the pain is the daily suffer in our hearts, in our minds, and throughout our bodies. Our unresolved hurt is depression and stress, which travels through our nerves and blood as high blood pressure, sits in our colons as constipation, and locks our joints and bones with arthritis. Our unresolved hurt and pain and our broken heart is the root of confusion and disharmony in our relationships. The ancestral wise ones of the Nile Valley were acutely aware of the power of the heart to the point that they established the paradigm of justice, harmony, and right living for the entire nation upon the heart, and the importance of the heart being in balance with a feather on a scale. Thus, the term as light as a feather, the root of all wellness is within the heart of you, husband, wife, father, mother, boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, co worker, parent, and child. In order to heal ourselves and to restore ourselves to wholeness and peace, our hearts must be as light as a feather. We must seek to be balanced. We must detoxify the disharmony. We must forgive. The power to heal is within you. Do not give over your power to failure or illness. Take your power back, whether or not you think you are right. When your emotional self feels that your heart is broken, wounded, and cut up into pieces, your physical self holds that depression and anxiety in your cells and nerves and muscles and organs and in your blood. That held in pain sets the stage for a heart attack and or a stroke. All the greatness that you have done in your life comes from within. All the challenges that you've experienced comes from within. Forgiveness begins within you. First of all, forgive yourself. Forgiveness creates purification. Purification creates liberation. Hearts must be as light as a feather daily. If we are to be whole, our hearts must be clean and pure, free of anger, hatred, and animosity, and free of fear. For balance, health, and healing, we must be in a perpetual state of harmony and wellness. My aunt, according to the ancient wise ones of the Nile Valley, the pathway to reach this elevated state is through forgiveness. You may ask, how do I forgive wrong acts done to me? You answer yourself, my mother did this and my father did that and my mate did this and my children did that. We have been wronged by family, friends, and strangers. We have repeatedly experienced abandonment, fear, abuse, and loss. In our financial circle, there has been loss, impoverishment, dissatisfaction, and financial failure. There have been multiple dietary wellness challenges, and on and on. To get free from the prison of pain in your body, mind, and spirit, you must break the cycle, form new habits, navigate your life from pain to freedom one step at a time.
Wow.
Yes, this is very powerful.
Very, very powerful. So I actually made a few highlights because I thought that the part where it says our unresolved hurt is depression and stress, which travels through our nerves and blood as high blood pressure. It sits in our colon as constipation. And we had a short conversation yesterday. Well, when we were in our group setting, um, constipation is not just physical, right? Because we can have emotional constipation too. So if we're not letting go of what no longer serves, or, the fact that someone has hurt us, right? Because the truth is, we've hurt someone or someone has hurt us. You know,
Right.
but we don't want to stay in that space. So she does give us some steps on how we could relieve ourselves. We won't go too far into this, but another part that caught my attention is in our financial circle, there has been loss, impoverishment, dissatisfaction, and financial failure. We'll save that for another conversation, but knowing that all of this, everything that we've just read, there is a cure. So, well, let me not use that word. There is a remedy, right, for it. What was your greatest takeaway?
Um, my greatest takeaway, you bringing up the financial part of it, that stood out to me a lot because it reminded me that everything is full circle, that
Mm,
everything is connected, and
hmm
that your relationships impact your finances also, and if you have issues going on within, and it also is a reflection of your relationships with others, then of course it's going to impact your financials. So that stood out. And also the part where it says the ancestral wise ones of the Nile Valley were acutely aware of the power of the heart to the point where they established a paradigm of justice, harmony, and right living for the entire nation upon the heart, and the importance of the heart being in balance with a feather on the scale.
mm,
Like it always goes back to my aunt, that's a big theme for my life to the point where even my daughter, I birthed a Libra. So that is
mm,
just, it's always like just a constant reminder of that, and how it's very important to be mindful of your heart and what you're carrying, not only
mm.
when it comes to the food, but whatever emotional things that you're carrying in your heart. So that's a great reminder that stood out to me.
Wow. So this concept of living in a state of ma'at, that truth, balance, reciprocity, truth. Uh, listen to me, truth twice. We really have to start living in the truth, right? Because the illusions are just getting out of control. But in all honesty, to walk a divine path, we really have to come into balance, and that's not easy. That's not easy. People say, well, we have free will, to do as we please. No, free will got some of us running
Right.
amok out here in these streets. So, yeah, just really, really working on processing through the pain, the hurt, the woes. It's necessary because, of course, if we don't, it manifests in a physical uh, situation. So not only do you have a emotional, spiritual decline, now the body is like, okay, well, since everybody else is, pretty much checking out, I'm gonna check out too. So keeping that heart light as a feather is definitely a thing. So how do we do that? So there are again a few steps. So step one says, look at your condition straight on. Take responsibility for its creation and existence. I'm gonna stop right there. Many of us, even in our adulthood, because we know that we have children living in adult bodies, right? It just, some people just really never grow up. Um, and they don't take responsibility for the things that they have done, said, dot, dot, dot. So, they say first you have to admit that there's a problem, and know what that problem is. Realize that every experience that we live is the creation of our consciousness, of our conscious and subconscious mind, playing back to us, um, playing back to us our inner worries. Go into a quiet, still place in yourself. Breathe deeply into your heart center and ask, why did it happen? And really being honest with yourself as it relates to why did it happen. I oftentimes tell people when I was in my valley, people desired to help. And it was just like, I have to sit this one out, so to speak. I have to be alone to figure out what happened. How did I get here? And, strive to make sense of the situation or do what I need to do. The second part is to ask yourself, what's my lesson? As a student of life, you receive the lessons that not only free you, that will not only free you and heal you, but they also can be a healing balm for others. Every experience is a lesson from for one to learn and to grow through. So, are we learning our lessons? What do you think?
Yes, that is extremely important. And I wanted to go back to the step one, because that take responsibility for his creation and existence, that is extremely important. Because I recall the first, like, back when I was in a relationship, I guess you could say, and that was the first time I actually took responsibility for my role and allowed things to be, instead of playing victim. I said, okay, I allowed this to happen. Now I know moving forward that I have to create these boundaries. I have to be comfortable in stating what I want, what I desire. And if that person doesn't want it, then I have to, leave, but be okay with that,
I
and
love that.
so that's really key. So in that, because I took responsibility, I was able to learn my lesson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was that set the stage for my whole journey, like really catapulting it onto this journey where I am now, that
Mm-hmm.
particular situation. So I now have love in my heart for that person, because they taught me the importance of me, they reflected back that I needed to love myself in so many
Mm.
ways.
Mm-hmm. It's so amazing when we we learn who we are through relationships, because they really are a mirror of the good, bad, and indifferent. And I think it can be easier for people to go into victim mode because, you did this to me type thing. But I'm definitely learning, as I grow into, a seasoned woman of a particular age, that self-check button is necessary. Like we have to be able to check ourselves and get the lesson, because we know if we don't get the lesson, we go back and it just gets bigger and closer and then harder to really get through, because then it's familiar, like, dang, I just went through this and here I am again. So it is
Right.
important to get the
Yes.
lesson.
It's like I don't want to. I'm over being in like loops and cycles, like continuous
Yes.
cycles and loops. Once I
Yes.
recognize it, I'm like, okay, I have to do something different. I have to
Let's get
shift.
off the hamster wheel.
Right.
All right. So, step 3 says don't wait for someone to apologize, to ask for forgiveness, or to take the first step. To transform is not about those who have done us wrong, it's about you making the paradigm shift to realize forgiveness within. Forgive everyone fearlessly. As you do so, you'll receive energy, hope, and clarity to your life quest for well being. Now, this was a lesson that I had to, even now, here recently, just learning to meet people where they are and even with the wrongdoing, forgive, because they know not what they do, right? But I find that there's a proverb that says, only a fool argues with a fool, right? And I feel like the fool who, or the person that is on a divine walk, if you argue or get into a whatever with someone else, it's like your consequences will be more, I don't want to say drastic, but you'll feel it more than the other person, because that other person
Right.
didn't know better.
I know all about that. And when I
Really?
you know, go back and forth, it normally hits me much harder and fast. And I'm like, okay, let me calm down.
Right. Let
Yeah.
me calm down. Right. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, that fire is something else. But I love, I think when I was younger, I didn't really know how to forgive. And I had so much fire that anybody could get it. My mother used to say, Lord, your mouth is just terrible. Not so much like in cursing, but I can cut some things down. So, just learning how to even use my fire, because every situation doesn't require that. You might feel a way, you feel like you gotta. I remember having a conversation with a sister, and she just would not let it go. Well, they did this and they did that. I'm like, well, sis, yeah, no, I still don't think that your role was to, huff and puff. But I had to let them know that they won't be doing A, B, and C to me or anybody else. you know that was Shayola too. Or in those
Yes.
days, Shawanda, because I was a piece of work. Definitely that. So I will, I'll have my moment. I have to go through the process, but then on the other side, it really is, what can you do but forgive? You may not forget, but in order for your heart to really be light, it doesn't make sense. It's like, you know, uh, drinking poison, as they say, and hoping that somebody else, feels the effects of that. Because really, when we hold on to the resentment and the anger and the dot, 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 as we read, it only hurts the self.
Right.
So,
And you block things. You block things that may be set up for you. You block it
yes.
by having that energy stored into your heart and
Mm,
stored into your space in general.
right. Definitely that. All right. So, lesson 4 says, strive to become able to recognize that every lesson is a blessing. Every experience makes you stronger in your thoughts, your actions, and your state of being. Receive the lessons, learn from the lessons. Now, I love this. People say, I don't know what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I believe that. I mean, you still here to tell the story. I mean, I'm sure that you'll be stronger for it, rather than somebody else telling the story, because you can't, because you're no longer here.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So if you can go through it and grow through it, then I'm sure that the lesson account balance will increase. And then finally, step 5, give thanks for clarity. Let the truth of Ma'at set you free and give you wings that you may fly to your most elevated, radiant, holistic self and become light as a feather. So, 5 simple
Yes.
steps to making sure that you really do what you need to do for you, right? And these are what these conversations are about. Again, we are Heal Thyself practitioners, under the tutelage of Queen Afua. And her first work was Heal Thyself, because we really do have the ability, if we're tuning in, tapping in, right? We can ultimately heal ourselves. What say you, Latoya?
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with all of that. And I just love how Queen's work always goes back to my eye. It's just a
Mhm.
reminder, just to stay balanced, to stay connected to truth at all times. And it's a beautiful thing. It's like a daily reminder. Every day I get a reminder of my eye. So I love it.
Every day is a reminder of my eye. And look at Sacred Woman Lorraine coming into the space with us. So we were just discussing forgiveness, for freedom. Because if we don't, then are we really free? What say you? And you look beautiful and radiant.
Oh, why, thank you. And forgive my tardiness. I could not find this phone for the life of me. Um, and my son had it.
Mm,
Um, Forgiveness is a very, very heavy topic. I am of the firm belief that you definitely have to let stuff go in order to really, elevate and move on with your life, and that it is for self. It's something I struggle with personally. It's one of those things. I think I spent about a year trying to figure out like what are the actual step by steps process of forgiveness, because whenever I would ask people like, oh, okay, I know it's good to forgive, I know you do it for yourself, but like how does one actually forgive,
mhm.
and I would be around all these people who were like, forgiveness warriors, but they would not be able to tell me what it is. They're like, you just do it, you just let go, and I'm like, what does that look like, what
Right.
does that mean exactly? And honestly, it wasn't until I went through the Sacred Woman Rites of Passage that I learned what that meant. And honestly, that's the same thing I tell people now all the time, because I'm like, I don't really know how to tell you how to go through the process of forgiving, except for like being intentional about it,
Mhm.
knowing that that's what it is that you're trying to do, knowing what it is that you're looking to let go of, and constantly like being in a space of saying like, hey, I release this. Journaling was one thing that helped for me, and doing it consistently for like a period of 7 days. I would take like one person that I needed to forgive and literally write out sentences that was like, I forgive you for X, Y, and Z. Like, I forgive you
Mm,
for X, Y, and Z. And
mhm,
try to come up with like, 20 to 30 things a day for that person in particular. And then
mm.
the next day, same person, and just sit with that for a week. And during that process, I actually realized that the person that I really needed to forgive was myself. And it was
Come
like,
on now.
holding on to all of these things, and I
Mhm.
was projecting them onto other people. But it was like, as I would go through that, and I'm like, no, you're really upset with yourself for like dealing with certain situations, for allowing certain things to happen, to not like enforce my boundaries, and not like loving and respecting myself enough to like prevent certain situations and things from happening. So it's definitely, I'm still a work in progress. There's still some
Yeah.
stuff deep down in there, that I'm
Mhm.
like still pulling at and looking to release and let go of. But yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah. And it's I do like these steps, right? Because they are practical and they work. Like you said, Lorraine, I mean, all day long we can, how did this happen? Why did this happen? What's the lesson? Oh yeah, I am supposed to forgive that person, but like you said, more importantly, just forgiving the self,
Hmm.
for whatever, or however that looks. So, but dang, I should have wrote it down because it was something that you said and I was like, that's a great point. But now I don't remember what it, what it was. Um, so there is, she also gives us a daily forgiveness affirmation. Y'all want to hear that?
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So it says, well, Latoya, did you want to read that? I mean, I just read. This is how we do in book club, y'all. Do you read? You
I
want to
I could go ahead and read it. All
read? Give
right.
thanks.
Daily forgiveness affirmation. I have the power to take responsibility for my life's journey. I have the power to stand in my truth as a powerful, mighty being who makes the impossible possible. I have the power to listen from within and to be in tune with my inner calling. I have the power to learn from my life's lessons. I will not hold animosity. It does not support the growth of wellness. Forgiveness is my pathway to freedom, my strength, my restoration that will allow my heart and my soul to take flight. Truth lives. And then
Mm.
says, after the collector recites the daily forgiveness affirmation, participants can share their heart challenges, then burn sage or frankincense and myrrh in the circle as the collector repeats, to forgive is to heal, and to heal is to forget, is to live. To forgive is to heal is to live.
One more time.
To forgive is to heal is to live.
So we
Okay.
have to forgive in order to really set ourselves free, because why not? Okay, somebody wronged us, right? It hurts, but there's a like the it's the lesson in it. It's a reason why we attract, situations depending on where we are. We attract where we are, in life. Now, some people will say, and I may be going a little deep, so this is not meant to be offensive. Well, what happens when children are taken advantage of, right?
Mm,
They're innocent. They don't deserve that. But the truth of the matter is, we don't know what their past life was or their karmic debt.
mm, mm,
And I'm not saying at all that any of it is excusable or anything to that nature, but we come into these lifetimes with stuff that we had from past life, and we have to use this lifetime to get it right, or
mm,
we will just repeat it again in this lifetime or when we come back. And we will come back if we didn't get the lesson.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So I really look at Earth as a whole big theatrical stage, and everybody plays a part. So it's like, what part are you going to play when you get back to Earth?
Oh, I would love to veggie back on that because it
Mm.
reminds me of a quote, and I think it's in The Four Agreements. It's one of Don Miguel Ruiz's books, but he mentions that we are all just background actors in everybody else's lives. And so when you look at things from that perspective, it helps you not to take things so personally. Like, so it's not like, oh, this person wronged me. It's like I'm just a unintended, like not
Extra.
beneficiary because it's not good, right? But it's like this was not purposefully, like this person didn't seek out purposefully to be like, I am going to, hurt you or do these things to you. I mean, some people do, but
Right.
even
Mhm.
even to that extent, it's more about them than it is about me at the end
Mhm.
of the day. And so, like, operating from a place of that level of understanding has also helped me to get to a place where it's like I don't even need to forgive because I'm not even internalizing like what it is that this person has done. So,
Mm. That's really good. And that's part of one of the four agreements, like just not taking things personally,
mhm.
because oftentimes, most times, all of the time, it's not even about you.
Right.
Really not. It's really not. Spoken from someone, I'm an earth sign. I feel everything. And just learning. This journey has been learning not to take things personally, because it's
Mhm.
really not about me. So that was a tough pill to swallow, because I'm like, hello, everything is about
Exactly.
me.
What are we
Everything.
talking about here? Me, of course, right?
Me, me, just me. All right. So we are closing in on our 30 minutes. Lorraine, do you have your book handy?
I do not. I'm in the middle of packing.
I
Everything
know,
is
I
in
know. I said, let me
boxes.
ask. I didn't want to leave you out. But we'll end on this note. I'm on page 21, and this is called On the Wings of Forgiveness. And look, it even has a little scale. No, a little scale for my aunt. It's so weird doing things in the camera. It's like, wait, what side is this on? Oh, a mirror meditation. Woman or man, I invite you to break the cycle of pain given one to another. Man, woman, I invite you to break the deadly cycle of pain given one to another. I know that each of you is hurt. I invite you to speak. Come together, face to face, heart to heart, to speak forgiveness for our recovery. I invite us to speak so that we may forgive and love and travel through our bloodline to heal the past and the future. I forgive you for the slaps and the kicks, for grabbing and the yanking, for the shaking of my soul and my body. I forgive you for cursing and the yelling and the screaming, for the hostile words spoken, cruel, for the cruel tones and the harsh looks that ruptured my veins and traveled deep into my heart. I forgive you for not keeping your word, your promise. I forgive you for abandoning me, not being there when I reached out. I forgive you for not speaking gently when I needed comforting. I forgive you for holding resentment towards me. I forgive you for not knowing or overstanding, for not caring what or how I felt. I, woman, forgive you for being like my daddy or not being like my daddy. Man, I forgive you for being like my mother or not being like my mother. I want to overcome the pain that has filled my inner walls with cancer, blood pressure, obesity, impotency. I want peace and love, a new beginning. Can we attract the beauty that is within me and you? Will you forgive me whether I stay or move on, whether I hold on or let go? May we become wiser for the lessons we've learned. May we hold our hearts sweet, lasting forgiveness. I forgive you for everything, as I forgive myself for eating and covering up my pain with dead thoughts, dead thoughts and dead foods. I forgive myself for loving in a loop of unresolved wounds of the heart, in the spirit, and in the mind and body. I need soulful liberation. I choose to be freed from the rapture of forgiveness. I need to heal. I need my wings. I forgive you. Will you forgive me? I forgive you. Let us soar. And Ashe, I'll leave it there, obviously. But when we were in Kemet, there was a situation with, the sisters, and that was the first time that I heard Queen state that, like, I forgive you. Do you forgive me? And you had to, well, do I forgive? Well, I should. You. It's not so much the pressure, but it's like, okay, I may be hurt for a moment, but really, what will be the gain in not forgiving? Now, I'm not saying that we have to be chummy chummy, but you know, we can move on.
I like that. Like, even in place of an apology,
Mhm.
whenever a situation arises for
Mhm.
which you would normally apologize, like maybe just say, I forgive you. Do you forgive me?
Word. Queen of Fool was also the very first person when I found out in my prior relationship that my ex had a child on the way. Of course, I was devastated, and I went through Sacred Woman. And she said to me, well, did you assume your responsibility and learn your lessons for your part? And what happened? I was like, oh, my part? I didn't.
Fire. Look.
Me, I didn't do a thing. I was not the one. But when you process, you realize, but you set the stage for it to happen.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You did things that there were no boundaries. There were things that I definitely helped to cultivate that outcome. But that took time for me to really, but she was the first one to say it, like, did you accept your responsibility? And I had never ever heard that, like, my responsibility. Mm-mm, that's not me. But here we are. Any last or closing words before we skedaddle for the strong end? Today is Friday, y'all.
I really enjoyed this reading. I needed to read that.
She's like, okay, I got some forgiving to do. And if all else fails, just get you some watermelon juice and live your best life. So, watermelon is great for cleaning the blood.
Mm.
Look. Anywho, We give thanks for you all watching. I believe that this offering will indeed be called Build Through Broadcast.
I
I
like.
like it, right? Thank you, Shantae. We appreciate you. So, Build Through Broadcast will come back next Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with another topic. And if there's anything that you would like to hear us expound upon, feel free to drop it in the comments. Until then, peace, light, and love.
Peace.
Peace.